because they had poor customer value parameters. That was their response. And now there's continued ideas about that. For example, in New York, they want to disaggregate the operations of your distribution network, for heaven's sake. I think that's crazy. The integrated, regulated sense is the right way to do it. There's one person responsible to a customer, whether it's make, move, sell, or consent. I'll stop. So let's do it as well as we can. That's the way to really benefit people. Yes, sir?
Good morning, Tom. Christopher Russell with EnergyPathfinder.com. My question for you. As Southern Company embraces creative destruction, how do you assuage the fears of shareholders who were attracted to the company for the old model of investing capital for 50 years at a time in the big power plant down by the river?
Because I think that they don't realize in that, if I just pick up on what you're saying, they don't realize the risk that's inherently in that business. In other words, if it's a big plant down by the river and that's what I'm buying, the world we know is changing. It's changing today. And if all you're stuck with is one model, one way of doing business, you may not know it, but you are accepting a boatload of risk. And one of the ways, if you think about value as a function of risk and return, by innovating, creating options-based strategies, creating ways to enter into potentially new offensive strategies, you actually preserve the value of your old infrastructure. Because if your old infrastructure gets obviated by storage, then you're dead. You're accepting a beta. Everybody knows beta? Okay, so beta. Beta is a mathematical concept. It is the variance of your return relative to the broad market. If you owned every stock in the S&P 500, your beta would be 1. And if you're less variable, less volatile in your return profile, then your beta is less than 1. And if you're more volatile, you'd be greater than 1. And one of the ways you really try and think about as investors, diversifying actually kind of gets you a more efficient risk-return profile. If all you ever earned was one stock, you would be really volatile relative to the market, right? If all you own is one stock, this notion of all I'm going to do is invest in kind of this old infrastructure business, you're accepting risk that you don't know you have. Because the one constant is we know it's going to change. We know that if we accept kind of with a fire in our belly that today's going to be different than yesterday and tomorrow's going to be even better than today from an energy delivery standpoint, energy consumption standpoint. And look at people like that. Look at what you're doing. Look at kind of how innovative that is. You can't rely on the old idea. There may be elements of the old idea that survive forever. I kind of think there will be. Nuclear plants. I really do. I'm a big believer in nuclear. But man, oh man, on the margin, this business is going to be, that's this disruptive notion that people talk about. And let me say one more thing that's a little provocative. David Crane. NRG. I actually like David Crane.
Yeah, I hear you guys are friends, sir.
We are friends. And he came to my executive forum. He's a brilliant guy. And he was pitching this idea of a death spiral. Don't believe in the death spiral. However, if all I do is bet on an old technology, then you're subject to a death spiral. But if I continually innovate, continually do creative destruction, I lessen my likelihood of entering into that uncertain future. Yes? Sorry. No,
you said that natural gas is an important resource going forward.
It's a dominant solution.
Yes. Can you speak to the challenges of transmission infrastructure in this country, getting gas from where it's being produced?
Absolutely. And you guys, I'm sorry.
Secondly, the second part of your research, are you looking at the solidification of natural gas?
What kind of?
Turning natural gas into solid to the means of transportation.
I haven't yet.
Tom's Banning is making a keynote speech at the SEA conference.
And the quick answer on that one's no, but I'll tell you what we are doing. It's kind of interesting. That's how we got on our conversation. But we are doing some research on kind of thinking about natural gas is so plentiful and so cheap right now. How can we use it more effectively, more broadly? I just don't want to have somebody run their stove with electric gas. What can we do with it? Can we put fuel cells in homes and create electricity directly, for example? It's kind of an interesting idea. So my crack corporate comm team over here, they put stuff out all the time. So look on YouTube, Google it up, and you'll find this stuff. One of the things that's really important in answering your question, you guys ever get the Weekend Wall Street Journal? So they do the weekend interview, right? And I did the weekend interview probably a year into my job here. And unfortunately, it was all about natural gas. I mean, it was all about the energy spectrum, all the above, all that stuff. But they titled it, unfortunately, The Natural Gas Skeptic. Now, please understand, I'm a skeptic on everything. But I'm also optimistic and a believer in the future. With respect to natural gas, I called out 5 caution areas. I absolutely believe that gas is the dominant solution going forward. We've made a big bet with AGL. Well, I believe it. Put my money there. There's 5 reasons why you got to be cautious. Number 1 is we need to understand the depths of what EPA is going to do about fracking. We got to make sure that we get that right from an environmental standpoint. Number 2 is we need to build out the infrastructure. The new finds of natural gas are not the traditional finds, and we got to make sure we build the infrastructure to get it from where the new stuff is to where the people need it. Number 3, I am absolutely in favor. Remember the capitalism idea. I am absolutely in favor of completely unfettering not only natural gas but also oil exports. We shouldn't limit those at all. We have, I think, for fossil fuels in America, a bridge. There is a piece of time in which we will continue to use fossil fuels. I think innovation in the future, at some point, we're going to go away from fossil fuels. So let's take advantage from an economic standpoint and find the best markets for those right now. We have a point in time. So let's unfetter completely domestic exporting. Let's go get them. Number 4, we don't understand yet kind of the demand curve response of more natural gas. So when you think about industrial consumption, electricity consumption, transportation consumption, a whole lot of other things that we're trying to invent right now, more retail end-use concepts. We haven't understood what's going to happen from supply and demand response and what's going to happen to price and volatility. And then number 5, we don't have an effective way in America yet to understand how to effectively manage that potential volatility with financial market concepts like hedging, forwards, all that kind of thing. Really about all you can do right now is probably 3 to 5 years efficiently, and beyond 5 years, it costs a ton of money. So those are the 5 concepts. It's a big deal. One of the other things I'll talk about in earnings call, and it's another reason why I like AGL. AGL is involved in infrastructure development. I always forget the name of it, but there's a pipe kind of along western Georgia, kind of I-20 up to Rome or Dalton, something. And then they're part of the Atlantic Coast Pipeline infrastructure built from Marcellus down the east part of the United States. They're looking at pipes Pennsylvania to New Jersey. They're looking at pipes Marcellus to Illinois. So infrastructure is going to be so important, and we need to develop more of it. I know that is provocative to a lot of people, but we got to go forward. Yes, sir.
What is fusion going to do to all of this? And does Southern Company really believe in it, and is it investing in it?
So we believe in it. We think it's 20 years away.
20 years.
Yeah, fusion's a big deal. I think if you think about the Clean Power Plan, there needs to be a response in the United States to promote more nuclear. Boy, you want shovel-ready projects in the right areas of the United States, integrated, regulated jurisdictions, not in the so-called organized markets. With certain companies that have scale, credibility of operations, and the highest levels of financial integrity, they can build new nukes. I think people are looking to see how we do here in Georgia with Plant Vogtle 3 and 4. And I think we will find that at the end of the day, and I said this yesterday, I say it incessantly, that Vogtle is going to be viewed in retrospect as the most important success in a mega project in modern American industrial history. The next evolution of that is going to be fusion. We are working with folks on that, and we'll see where it goes. If you can harness fusion, that's a game changer. That's great. Hey, look, yeah. Let me finish this off real quick. Is it a quick one? What is it?
It's a very quick one.
Yes.
You mentioned S.
Yes.
I'm just curious if you read a book entitled
I'm still trying to make it through Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Hey, look, thank you all. It's been a lot of fun being with you. Please understand, it was funny. My dad passed away 20 years ago or so. He was a tough World War II veteran, Purple Heart, Guadalcanal, all that stuff. He was tough as nails. But when he got close to the end of his life, he started talking. And one of the things he did, he was head of benefits for Western Electric. It was kind of from Baltimore to St. Louis to Shreveport. He had all that benefits. And one of the things he did, he put in a program called the Visitors Program. And the Visitors Program was to go talk to people once they retired and say, what really turned you on in your work life? Now you have some, perspective. And they all said they wanted to know kind of that the relationships that they developed, the hows again, were more important than what they did. Boy, I developed so many good friendships and all that. The other thing they said was that whatever they did, whether you were a bank president, or not a bank president, whatever you did, whether you were a vice president or whether you were a broom clerk, whatever, what I did mattered. When I think about the importance and the opportunity we have in America today, and I'm always backstopped by these stupid debates and the political season and everything else, and there's so much garbage out there. What you do matters. I am convicted in the belief that a way forward for America to play offense and make people's lives better is in the energy space. And absolute strike zone is the kind of work you're doing. So thank you. I appreciate it.